Good evening, everybody in India, Southeast Asia, and very good morning to my friends there in Europe, in different countries, wherever they are. At the same time, it's a soup time and it's a dinner time. My friends in Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, and all other places. A very hearty welcome to each one of you for having joined us today live on the webinar as well as coming on the Facebook. We look forward to valuable inputs and lots of suggestion from your side because today we are going to talk one of the most important sectors, and that is how becoming vocal for local role of the micro, small and medium enterprises in India. And we are going to have with us this evening Shri Ravindra Nath ji, the former chairman and managing director, National Small Industries Corporation, that is under Ministry of MSME, Government of. And while extending him a very hearty welcome, I wish to show you 3, 4 slides so I get the ball rolling, and at the same time we set the tone for today's most important discussion, which is most vibrant and up to date and timely discussion, and most important for the India's economy. So before we come on to becoming vocal for local, role of micro, small and medium enterprise in India, and while extending a hearty welcome to Shri Ravindra Nath ji, the former chairman and managing director, NSIC, National Small Industries Corporation, let me share just 3, 4 slides with all of you so that we are on the common frequency and we understand what exactly our organization has got to offer. Now, ladies and gentlemen, since 1994, International Chamber for Service Industry, which was earlier International Punjabi Chamber for Service Industry, it is taking care of basically services exports, the policy interface, giving lots of inputs from time to the government. And we are privileged, and I feel very, very happy that in the last 3 years, we gave a lot of action plans, a lot of roadmaps, and a lot of programs to Ministry of Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprises. We have been meeting Secretary Sahab, Additional Secretary Sahab, other government officials in the ministry, and at the same time working with the corporate sector and understanding what is to be done as far as services sector is concerned. And we are privileged. We will share in a little while with you, and while thanking and saluting the government of India that they have taken the manufacturing and sector services sector now at par for all of us, which basically earlier were segregated and manufacturing was having an edge and services was yet to be recognized at the national level. So we are very happy. We are very, very thrilled that now the MSME has been given the due weightage and we are moving ahead while giving the equilibrium to manufacturing and services sector together. And we focus on services exports once again. This evening, we have got a very distinguished guest with us, Shri Ravindra Nath ji, the former chairman and managing director of the National Small Industries Corporation. Shri Ravindra Nath ji, he served as a chairman and managing director of the NSIC, National Small Industries Corporation, a public sector enterprise under Government of India, Ministry of MSME till September 2018. Besides this, Shri Nath ji, he held various senior positions of the corporate head of finance in public and private sector. And I'm proud to say, whenever I met him, what a warmth, what a dynamism, what an energy, and what a synergy. He's a professional chartered accountant as well, who was leading and looking after the entire NSIC. Shri Nath ji has over 3 decades of experience in various areas of finance, accounts, and management. Shri Ravindra Nath ji has worked on various initiatives to achieve inclusive growth in the country, particularly in the micro, small, and medium enterprise. Shri Ravindra Nath ji was actively engaged in promotion and development of micro, small, and medium enterprises, as well as entrepreneurship development, creating collaborative environment to promote technology transfers, joint ventures between MSME both in India and overseas, And during his tenure, a lot of overseas MOUs were signed, and the profit venture and and the total turnover had gone up, which I will share with you during my deliberations. Shri Ravindra Nath ji has been conferred with the several awards, including CMD of the Year Award in June 2015 for his exemplary role in promotion and development of MSME sector in India. Outstanding Leadership Award conferred by foreign top rankers in 2018 for achieving business excellence through creativity, innovation, and entrepreneurship. And like it happens in the media entertainment industry, ladies and gentlemen, that whenever you give the award to someone and you always say, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together to give a hearty welcome. So that's why I'm keeping a little window between me and Rabindra Nath ji so that I increase your curiosity and enthusiasm and we have a warm deliberations. But before that, with the privilege and with the consent of Rabindra Nath ji, I show you three quick slides. Our chamber, right from the time we have got into this lockdown period, this due to coronavirus, the research which has been done and the compilation which has been done world over in the month of April and May, this is the golden triangle which has emerged. Earlier, people used to call Delhi, Agra, Jaipur, and taking assembly from there, a lot of other golden triangles were developed. But now the golden triangle, with the lesson learned from coronavirus and lockdown is, the first priority is to be given to food, food processing and exports, agriculture and animal husbandry. The second factor is your health and your wellness. Health, herbal, happiness, holistic healing, physical and mental fitness is very, very important. And when we talk about education sector, digital education, e-education, earn and learn is very, very important. And down below of this pyramid, of this particular golden triangle, you see education and skills, micro, small and medium enterprises, logistics, technology and strategy. The entire model is based on sustainable development. And what we used to call B2B earlier, business to business, now it is back to basics. If we want to survive, if we want to grow, if we want to develop the economy, we got to cut down our all frills and we have to come down to the basics of life. That is very important. Tonight, after this particular interaction and interface on the micro, small and medium enterprise, ladies and gentlemen, from world over, we will be having a large galaxy of the people joining us. Our fifth program would be coming up on Ayurveda for the global wellness. Tonight, do not forget to join us live on the Facebook. Do see us on the webinar as well also, and where we bring at 9 p.m. tonight, one of the most eminent speaker, when you talk about Shri Ravi Shankar ji, from that particular analogy, chronology, and the family, we get Mr. Arvind Varchasvi ji, who is the managing director of Shri Shri Tattva. He would be with us live today for 1 hour tonight at 9 p.m. Don't forget to join us, Ayurveda for the global wellness. Tomorrow morning, before you listen to the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji at 11 o'clock, being Sunday Mann Ki Baat, you should have something related to education. Whatever human development has to take place when we are shifting from the traditional classroom teaching to the digital modes, it's very important for us to understand that education is going to get the new role, because whether somebody becomes doctor, engineer, lawyer, whatever profession you get into, empowering education is very important with skills, and that will only transform youth. And ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow morning, you will have live our former president of the chamber coming from the Los Angeles, 9:30 to 11 a.m. Indian Standard Time. All the honorable vice chancellors, professors, academicians, educators, principals, administrators, technology experts, those are dealing in education, and whosoever is directly or indirectly related to education, including skill providers, all got to be together with us, because he's going to give you a lot of quotes from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, that is the key source to today's education and leadership. This is tomorrow morning what we are going to have. And as a follow-up of this, you would be happy to know that ICSI is starting a new series and new program of education making education relevant. We will come to you every day, Monday to Friday, 7 to 8 p.m., live with you on the Facebook and YouTube, as well as on the webinar from the world over. And that is going to be आइए शिक्षा को प्रासंगिक बनाएं, making education relevant. And our curtain raiser we will do on the Monday. We will give you the total profile, what all we are going to discuss about the education, skills, our entrepreneurship, self-development, self-employment, and what all is to be done. And the entire focus is going to be learner-centric, youth-centric, youth empowerment. That is going to be the focus. This is coming to you from Monday, 7 to 8 p.m., making education relevant. Of course, this slide would be coming back to you later. We will talk about, and now, like it happens in the film industry to the Bollywood stars, whenever you start any program and before you give an honor and award and recognition to any eminent personality, you call them on the stage. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege to have Shri Ravindra Nath ji joining us this evening. He belongs at present, I won't say belong to, but he has got his residence in Dwarka. He had gone to look up somebody in Secunderabad, Hyderabad, and during this lockdown, he's in Hyderabad itself. I think you are enjoying Hyderabadi biryani, and we get you back to Delhi soon with your family. And it's such a privilege, it's such a proud moment for me that I have got you today with us. There are lots of questions, there are a lot of areas. My entire life I dedicated to tourism, hospitality, airlines, micro, small and medium enterprise. The whole structure, superstructure and the imarat of any development depends on the MSME. But at present they are passing through the most difficult time, and you have given your considerable time to this particular industry or this particular segment or this particular area. I still remember the ST-SC hub also, NSIC bringing its, I was so happy that you brought the change and the turnover in the NSIC from the 2,000 crores to 22,400 crores during your tenure, which was remarkable for any public sector undertaking and particularly the organization. Now, today, Ravindra Nath ji, the whole country is passing through a very difficult time. Rather, it's a global pandemic. The whole world is having the financial problem, health problem, and couple of other difficulties. और ये जो स्तंभ है, जिसके ऊपर पूरा यूनिवर्स MSME सेक्टर पर खड़ा है, when I talk about this particular segment, of course, government has given lot of incentives, lot of encouragement, lot of leverage from their side. We are thankful to Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji. We are thankful to Shri Nitin Gadkari ji, the MSME, the most dynamic minister we have got in our country. Then at the same time, the Honorable Finance Minister also gave a couple of announcements, and our chamber feels very happy about it, that with an entire team, the services exports, when we were talking about with the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, and Sudhanshu Pandey, now the Secretary in the Public Distribution. That time he was the Joint Secretary and Additional Secretary in the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. With him, we developed the entire pedagogy and the entire process that what is to be done in services export, and the MSME push was given. And I'm so happy and delighted that whatever projects we gave it to Ministry of MSME to give a push to the services sector, finally the Government of India took a leverage and they announced that there should be an equal treatment and merging of manufacturing and services sector together. And the whole definition also which got changed, that now in the micro, small and the medium, the micro, your investment, if your plant and if your manufacturing, if it is up to 1 crore and your turnover is 5 crore, you come under the micro category. And if your investment in the plant and machinery is up to 10 crore and your turnover is up to 50 crore, you come under small. And if your investment is up to 20 crore in the plant and the machinery and your turnover is 100 crore, that comes into the medium. I think the cabinet has brought one more change in the last couple of hours. It has either already got approval or it is going to get the approval that the definition of the medium is going to get changed, where the investment will be up to 50 crores and the turnover will be up to 250 crores. That is the MSME sector, which I just learned from my fellow colleagues before coming to you, because you are a visionary and you are a highly professional person. So I thought I should come with my statistics and my updated information, what all government is announcing. So with these words, of course, when I talk about me in personal, because my last 45 years of the life, I dedicated and devoted, I dream, I get up, I sleep, I think, and I eat tourism. And tourism is in a in a very big difficulty at this point of time, because, ladies and gentlemen, the luxuries are going to go away and the survival of the fittest is going to become the norm of the day, and business to business is back to basics. So with these words, I extend a very hearty welcome once again to Shri Ravindra Nath ji, and let's start our evening discussions when we talk about become vocal for local, role of the MSMEs, and particularly during this COVID-19, during this pandemic, there are global impacts, there are national impacts, there are regional impacts, and largely the MSME has been impacted quite a bit, which is the backbone of the economy. How do you feel we can come out of it? With these words, Shri Ravindra Nath ji.
Well, at the outset, thank you very much, Dr. Gulshan, for providing me this opportunity to talk about a subject which is the closest to my heart. And also, I pay my best regards to all the participants from world over. And I'm sure they are going to definitely understand the difficulties, not only in their countries which have been faced by the MSMEs, but also in India, what we are being confronted with. So you have, let me at the outset compliment you for the excellent programs you have been doing, especially in healthcare. And they would be doing a world of good, especially in this period of anxiety, which all of us are undergoing. If there is any challenge which we have to take care, is the human being itself, the human being himself or herself. Because if we survive, everything survives for us. And as the Prime Minister so rightly has said, जान है तो जहान है. अगर वो रहेगी तो मुझे लगता है कि कोई भी दिक्कत जो भी हम फेस करेंगे, we will be able to overcome that. So COVID has been something which has been, we have all been caught world over, totally unaware and unprepared. And it has caused unexpected amount of damage, not only in respect of the health and livelihood and lives of people, but also the livelihoods of people. And when we talk about the people who have been there at the bottom of the pyramid, it is really a very, very difficult situation for them. So first we started off with the fear of infection, the fear of health. When the lockdown started, it translated into fear of income loss for the workforce and the fear of survival for the business and the MSMEs. As you have mentioned about the sectors you have been working with, tourism and hospitality, aviation, they are the sectors which have been the most affected. And it really saddens the hearts when we find that they are in a deep, deep turmoil, a deep, deep problem. It's very disheartening to know that certain airlines, certain hospitality sectors, they have literally laid off their workers. They have hived off the number of flights which they're going to take off. And even in the hospitality sector, a lot of damage is being done because of this. But let us not forget, MSMEs are a resolute family. We don't give up that easily. It is that sense of commitment and that sense of belief and that sense of work ethics which we follow, we have always come across, whether with government support or without, whether with anybody coming and standing beside us or not, this family of the MSME sector has always withstood and overcome the difficulties they have encountered in their lives. World over, sir, it is the story of small and medium enterprises. It's only in India that we talk of MSMEs. World over, the terminologies used are SMEs. But largely, the spirit behind them remains the same. And I believe the thing is going to be the same itself in the times today. This group of entrepreneurs in the MSME fraternity are not going to give up, though as of now, it looks very, very difficult. And why I say this and what gives me the confidence to say this, I was reading even in today's business reports, the HUL MD's chairman and managing director has said, the near future looks a bit grim, but the medium and long term looks quite upbeat. We will be able to make it out of this situation, and the FMCG sector also will be able to come out of it. Well, this was something which HUL said. I would also like to share with you what the Hyundai MD in India has said. He said Indian business people and Indian community are a bunch of resilient people. And well, there are ways to look at it. And he believes that in the times to come, maybe in the third quarter of this year or in the first quarter of next year, things will be much better. I rely on him because he's a foreigner. He has no emotions, maybe no emotions attached to the Indian scenario as probably we have. But then he reads the business sense, he carries the business sense and reads the business scenario as a true professional. And when we say that automobile sector is going to be vastly impacted, here is a gentleman who belongs to that sector and believes that we will be able to bounce back. The government has already started. The government has already started giving the required impetus to the sectors. Rather, I would compliment the Prime Minister when he brought in the package, because what he brought was something which was not only short term, it was something which was long term. And if you would be remembering, he referred to the 5 pillars on which he is going to focus: the economy, the infrastructure, the systems, the vibrant demography, and the demand. So I remember the Prime Minister talking when he took over as the Prime Minister of our country, even in his first term, he talked about demography and demand in a very, very strong manner. Fortunately for us, these 2 parameters remain the same. We have a very young population and we have a country which has a huge internal demand. And you would appreciate that several countries eye India only because of these 2 very strong factors. Though the economy is vibrant, let us keep the COVID aside. The infrastructure is where the government is focusing upon, and the systems are there which are constantly improving. India's ranking in terms of ease of doing business, the consistent improvement in India's ranking in terms of ease of doing business is an example. It corroborates the point that India's systems are constantly improving. So when we live in a country like this, which has all these strong points, I find no reason that we should be scared. I believe we have to be more resolute. कि ये दौर भी गुजर जाएगा. And that is what the most optimist people believe in. I'm sure, sir, the packages which have been given, while most of us always go by that advertisement which says, ye dil mange more, but I think we have to live with the realities and look at the package which has been given to us. Lot many good things have been talked about by the finance minister, by our minister for MSME, and all this happens under the dynamic leadership of our Prime Minister, who always believes in his country and dreams of making India an Atmanirbhar Bharat. That is what we have to be prepared about, sir. We have to support the country from its unfolding crisis. Through this unfolding crisis, we have to realign it for a future growth, and we have to structure its reforms for strengthening India's opportunity even in these difficult times. It's not only India today which is facing these difficult moments in isolation. We used to talk about the world being a global village, and there have been no better times to prove this point than today, when we are all in the same basket, facing the challenges, but standing together. It gives me a sense of pride when we read that India is sharing the medicines with the countries around it, with various other countries who require and look up to India's pharma sector to provide them the required medicines. So these are certain things which I believe, and as even it is being said in Gita, that one has to look towards himself or herself, believe in himself or herself, and trust that whatever we are far better and far stronger than the difficulties which stand right before us.
You're on a very positive note. I'm so very happy because you worked physically over there and you understand things much better. There were few concerns and few areas. Like when are we talking about the whole economy as a whole, the MSME had the maximum blunt and the blow, particularly at this point of time and during this particular period. So if I take four segments separately, let's take finance separately, marketing separately, technology separately, and manpower, the human beings separately, because there is a movement of workers, movement of laborers to their native places. They are migrating back to their own native places wherever they belong to. So these four pillars, if I talk about finance, marketing, technology, and human resource, that's the manpower. So if you can tackle them separately in context of MSME, let's take on one by one these four issues.
So you touched upon, because all these parameters are those around which every MSME functions. Whether it is finance, it's the lifeline. Whether it is marketing, what does a company do? What does an MSME do if it is not able to sell it? If it talks about technology, and I was reading somewhere in McKinsey's Outlook report that by 2030, 375 million people, or almost 14% of the workforce, would have to change their occupation or would have to upskill themselves because of the automation and artificial intelligence coming in. So technology becomes all the more important. We should not be scared by the loss of jobs today. Let us look at what would have happened. And this report is not very, very late. It is only 2017. McKinsey had come out with this report where they said 375 million, or 14% of the world's workforce, would be out of job if they do not upskill themselves. And this is only because of automation and artificial intelligence. So I would again take it that this is a blessing in disguise which is awakening us, that please look at the right sort of technology which we require. And last but not the least, the most important factor is the human interface, the human constituent in an MSME is working. We are all seeing what is happening, but I'll come one by one. Let us talk about finance. So, as we all say, as we all know, that today is one of the biggest challenges for an MSME is its liquidity. They all cry that 2 months of lockdown and they are out of their liquidity. I take this with slight pinch of salt, but definitely it is a challenge. And everybody expected that the government would give them huge amount of doles to come out of this thing. But a government has to look not only at the short-term perspectives of things, but at the long-term and the future of the country as well. And what the government has done today, out of the package of 20 lakh crore which has been announced by the Honorable Prime Minister, the Honorable Finance Minister, after consultations with the Honorable Minister for MSME, the various industry associations, the various other stakeholders have come out with something which would definitely do a world of good. But India, as you very rightly use the word micro, small and medium enterprises. Sir, it is a case where one size doesn't fit all. It is a case where if you think for micro, maybe the demands for the medium would be different. If you think about small, the requirements of the micro would be different. But still, our finance minister, with the approval of the Honorable Prime Minister, has come out with a package which will definitely give something at this hopeless situation which this pandemic has put us in. First of all, what has been decided is to infuse liquidity. Let us keep giving back the refunds in terms of GST refunds, in terms of income tax refunds, back to those who require them, who deserve them. Secondly, our Honorable Minister for Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, Shri Gadkari ji, said that whatever are the dues payable to the MSMEs should be liquidated within next 45 days. And sir, this was a huge amount. And this amount, if it comes back to those MSMEs who have supplied the goods, are awaiting the payments, that definitely get some booster dose of liquidity with them. Payments of the dues towards electricity, payment of the wages, payments of GST. I'll come to some of these points in the later part. But what has our finance minister given? The finance minister has given a collateral-free automatic loans to those MSMEs who are not NPA, who are regular accounts. And the value of this package is 3 lakh crore. They have already declared the scheme for this. It is valid up to 31st of October, and no more of guarantees, no more of collaterals will be given. The banks, the NBFCs, the MFIs will be providing this support to the MSMEs. The condition is they should not be NPA accounts, and it would be limited to 20% of the entire outstanding, which was in their accounts as on 29th of February 2020. Then, to those who are NPAs, even for them they have brought out a case of subordinate debt provision for stressed MSMEs to an amount of 20,000 crores. And government expects at least 2 lakh MSMEs shall stand to benefit out of this. The Credit Guarantee Fund Trust will be given with the guarantees for this. Government has given 4,000 crores out of this, and that is how it shall be done. Then a fund of funds has been created for equity infusion, of which the mother fund will be created. Government has put in 10,000 crores into that. There's another special liquidity scheme for the NBFCs, for the HFCs, for the MFIs, because all these also play a very, very significant role when it comes to the MSMEs. And just to enhance their hands, just to strengthen their hands for helping the MSMEs, this particular special liquidity scheme has been brought in. There has been another partial credit guarantee scheme to the tune of 45,000 crores, which has been there, of which the first 20, the lending against which the first 20% loss will be borne by the government. So these are some which have been brought in by the government exclusively for bolstering the financial requirements, the financial challenges which the MSMEs are facing today. And I believe if people start utilizing these limits which are available to them, this would definitely be of great help to them. So let me also share with you some of the points which I've heard from the industry. They say, well, this only enables them to sustain maybe a month or two. But then with the economy opening up, with MSMEs being allowed to start their manufacturing processes, I'm sure there would be opportunities available for them to start the cycle once again, which had come to an abrupt halt because of the lockdown. And also, let us also look at what have the other sectors been given. There have been a lot of infusion in the agriculture and allied services sector. The housing and the real estate sector has been given 78,000 crores. The defense sector has also been opened up for the micro, small and medium enterprises, wherein a lot of work have been now given towards the MSMEs. And when these orders come and get placed on the MSMEs, this definitely will be giving them liquidity and a hope that all is not grey because of this pandemic. And I would also say, sir, it's only that we need to fall back on some of our reserves. While even in our personal lives, whenever any calamity comes in, whenever any challenge comes into our family, we all put our hands into our pockets and do go back to some of the reserves which we have kept. We always use the term the rainy day. COVID may not have rains, but it is no less difficult than the proverbial rainy days, which we very often say. And I'm sure this dose of liquidity, this payment of the dues to the MSMEs will provide the dose of liquidity which is badly needed. Coming to the marketing, so with the economy opening up, with government spending so much of money into infrastructure, I gave you the examples of the upbeat feeling which Hyundai is getting, which the HUL chairman and managing director has conveyed. These are all signs that in the near side, we might have a difficult situation, but in the medium to farthest vision which we have, things are going to be prosperous. Government has come out with schemes where it says that the micro and the small enterprises, the women entrepreneurs, the SC and SC entrepreneurs for the inclusiveness, what we talk about, will have special quotas or special portions which will be allotted to them in terms of the purchases. If I may just refer to the portal of the Ministry of MSME, where every public sector enterprise has been asked to pour in their requirements, annual requirements, and the size of the ship and the size which has been served, which has been serviced by the MSMEs last year in 1920, it was 37,000 crores. The government has also decided that tenders up to 200 crores will not be put to global tender. This is another big boost for the Indian MSME sector. And I'm sure the purchases to be made from the Indian MSMEs will be much more than what was paid in the yesteryears. So that is going to give a lot of incentive, a lot of boost for the Indian MSMEs when it comes to the production, manufacture, and sale of their products. Coming to technology, sir, India has its unique position where we have our enterprises in the high-end sector as well as in the ground situations of the rural areas where we still work on the basic technologies which are there. India has, you would be knowing, sir, India has been sending several satellites and doing a lot of work in this space. India has been doing a lot of interactive, collaborative efforts when it comes to the defense. There is hardly a company in the world in the automobile industry who has not its base in India. I was only referring to Hyundai because Hyundai MD had made a statement yesterday. World over, the best of the cars are there. And there was a lot of talk in the recent times that all these companies who are finding it difficult in China are looking for opportunities elsewhere. And India will be a very good proposition because we are very economical in terms of cost. So when we look at this scenario, we definitely have a high-end technology in mind. Yes, and we have people who can serve all these requirements. We have the best of companies who cater to all these requirements. But what is required is to build interfaces, with institutions of the industry and institutions of the government, wherein we can create number of people who can service the increasing demands in this sector. But at the same time, India also lives in the rural areas. India also has a very young population which finds it difficult to get educated. While the mission of education is definitely increasing year on year, but still the challenges of the economy prevent the entire youth to get educated. So we have to look at something which will cater to them also. We have an institution like Khadi Village Industries under the Ministry of MSMEs, which caters to such segment. We have schemes which cater to these segments. So I believe in the times to come, technology itself will be playing. It's not only, we should not be fearing that the automation and the artificial intelligence would certainly take our youth by surprise, because I believe India's education standards in terms of technology are no less than the best in the world when it comes to preparing the youth to counter a situation which would be emerging as being proposed by the McKinsey's report that 2030, this challenge is going to emerge.
All the 4 points you have taken very well. When we are talking about the financial sector, what could be the role of SIDBI as compared to what they are doing at present? And why do we look towards banks? Why not SIDBI should play important role in that? Then at the same time, when we are talking about training, skilling, and couple of other areas, I still recollect when I visited your NSIC complex during your times, I saw over there incubation center, couple of other facilities being. Why can't we think of, and can this Manrega be somewhere linked? Something with this entire process. I'm going to say the entire ecosystem when unemployment is there, how to give a push to more entrepreneurship, self-employment, and at the same time the labor which is migrating back to their villages, something to be done in a same proportion, maybe deeper. Of course, lot is being done, but we are very positive chamber. We are very positive people. We want to think positive. We want to do positive. We want to get some positive note from your side also. At the same time, is there any mechanism, because you are a chartered accountant also, what comes to my mind, let's take an example that there's a particular bank and there is a particular MSME which is dealing with a particular bank, and they have taken some amount of loan or they have got some turnover, and at the same time the bank, they get their value assessed of the particular property, plant, machinery, whatsoever is there. And they give you X amount as a limit or as an overdraft or as a loan or whatever is there. And they get huge interest on that as compared to overseas. Now, whatsoever survey has been done and whatsoever value has already been assessed by the bank, if they want, they can do the reassessment. There is no problem. Why can't they give up to 75%? Somewhere, banks are hesitant in real sense to support the MSME, where government wants to give a push to the whole project. Somewhere the banks are hesitant. In reality, when I'm talking to my friends, I'm trying to be frank with you and with my audience, because the end beneficiary is having a difficulty to have a delivery from the bank.
So you touched upon the very, very important point which is there. And this is a challenge which is always there between the, the banks on one hand and the MSMEs on the other. And let me tell you, sir, the moot point of this is the element of trust. There is a trust deficit which is prevailing between both sides. The banks, and let me tell you also, both sides are more concerned about their balance sheets than about the health of the other party.
This you're telling as a chartered accountant.
Since you have been mentioning me repeatedly that I am a chartered accountant, I said let me not keep that role of mine or that face of mine away from you.
Sure.
But sir, this is a reality. I was reading a report which was saying that there is going to be a 3% increase in NPA. It will be 11.6%, 11.3% from 8.3% as of March 20. So banks are already getting scared. अभी कुछ दिया नहीं, लिया नहीं, कुछ किया नहीं, जो आज की हालात है उसी के ऊपर उनको संशय होनी शुरू हो गई. They have started getting worried that their NPAs are going to increase, and they have already started calculating the amount of capital infusion which will be required in the banks. Sir, if somebody thinks about himself, वो दूसरों का भला क्या करे? But at the same time, you are 100% right that the MSMEs need to be supported at this stage. And then what comes? And you took a very, very important name in the Indian MSME sector when you referred to SIDBI. Such SIDBI type organizations, I believe, because if I do a plain reading of their name, Small Industries Development Bank of India, I believe, I may be excused if my opinions are incorrect or if I am having a mistake in concluding this thing, they do everything except development. They are into refinancing, they get a fund from the government, they are keeping it and they are giving it to the banks. So let me give you an example. I got an opportunity to visit Malaysia. There are such similar cases elsewhere in the world. I went to Malaysia and we met their developmental bank. They have commercial banks also, they have this development bank also. They have this SME bank, what they call it. So that bank's MD clearly said, we are not worried about the NPA levels. We are here to assist those जिसको कोई पैसा नहीं देता. We are here to assist those whom nobody gives. And I believe India also needs, for such situations, let it be another disaster management type situation, where India requires, disasters are not like tsunamis, disasters are not like health or like COVID. Economic situations like this are also nothing short of a disaster. And let it be built, if this sort of a disaster happens, and MSMEs need to be brought under cover for the disaster, especially the micro enterprises, who cannot fathom for themselves. There should be an organization in India which should be purely developmental organization, development finance organization. Sir, if we look at it practically, objectively, look at the write-offs which we do every year. The banks are doing every year. I don't want to get into the figures, but if people at the bottom of the pyramid, whom we call the backbone of the economy, whom we call the biggest employment source for the country after agriculture, if we lose a few thousand crores or a few lakh crores in bringing these people up, in re-establishing themselves, I think that will be real development. I don't call it an everyday situation. I call it a situation where such difficult times, where there is a fear of the health and there is a fear of business survival, both being confronted. So you rightly touched upon, if SIDBI does it, it will be excellent. If SIDBI cannot do it, my proposal to the government shall be create such an organization under the Ministry of MSME, because then it will be a direct contact with such people. And one point which I wanted to touch base, since you have a lot of people from world over, sir, technology means reaching across to each other, sharing of best practices, and why not with the people in the world who can share their best practices, their technologies with our country, and we share it with them on reciprocal basis, on business basis, create joint ventures. And this is what I did during my term. I share it with you with great pride, sir, that NSIC created MOUs with Small Business Corporation of South Korea, with SME Corp of Malaysia, with Russian Small and Business Enterprises, and a Morocco organization dealing with small enterprises. And there were a few in the pipeline. And everybody said, we want to build synergies with the Indian SMEs. So this would be a best source of technology sharing. You talked about the youth, sir. You talked about our incubation centers. And let me share with you, our model of incubating enterprises has been extremely successful, both in India as well as in Africa, where NSIC was engaged by the Ministry of External Affairs to share these. And my personal interactions with various heads of states from Africa when they came or when I got a chance to visit them, they want us models to be replicated. So if we have a solution which gives us an opportunity to employ people, and sir, all this migrant labor which has gone back, I would make a small proposal, a small suggestion through your chamber to the decision makers in our country. Such subscription, the fund allocation to Manrega is very good, is one way of doing it. But I would have suggested that if a portion of this fund can be utilized by asking these migrant laborers to come back and work in their business enterprises, in their manufacturing units, and this portion will be given to them, it would have bailed out that small entrepreneur as well as given some assured money to the worker who in a hapless situation has literally gone back, very desolate, very heartbroken. This money, if it can be still a portion to the migrant laborers for bringing them back and giving them a portion of it, maybe 15 days in a year, in a month, till the time the business establishes, or maybe the government may decide 30th September, 31st October, because it will take that much of time for a small enterprise to keep pushing the cycle of its operations back in the realm of things. That would be very useful. And sir, I do agree, industry is a family. Chambers are only a part of it. They are the vocal bodies. And who better than you, sir? I saw you have been there all your lifetime, serving them, the services sector. When I went to your institute, I saw how well you are preparing the budding service providers to the various segments of the sectors of engagement and employment in India. Sir, your chambers and this industry put together if we do a hand holding, I believe there is absolutely nothing which prevents the Indian MSME sector to come back on rails.
Wonderful. We have got last 5 minutes, sir. I need two wonderful suggestions. First of all, thank you very much for appreciating, because we had been focusing on northeast part of India. We had taken Tripura, we had taken Manipur, Meghalaya, Assam, Arunachal, Nagaland, Sikkim, Mizoram. We had been basically focusing on northeast because that is one of the priority area for the Honorable Prime Minister, and from the lookist policy to actist policy. And we had gone little beyond that with the northeast entire India's portion. We also build bridges with the ASEAN, Southeast Asia, Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, Brunei. So all that we linked it up, and presently our president of the chamber also comes from Thailand. Earlier we had from the Los Angeles, and then we had before that from Singapore. So we are trying to build the bridges whatsoever we can, and human capital. Now, two points which I wish to have at the end. Number one, that role of industry associations, which is being done at present. Do you think that little more push is required from the associations for the revival of the MSMEs? That is one point. And second point, the Honorable Minister for the MSME, who is very, very dynamic, and he keeps talking about increasing exports. Although you mentioned couple of countries, and during your tenure, we had moved from 2,000 crore to 22,400 crore. That is the kind of push you had given to the entire thing. Now, with regard to industry and with regard to push to the exports, would you like to say something? Because locally, MSMEs have to be done hand holding the best possible way by the government, by the association, by the private enterprise, and by the banks particularly. All that has to be taken care of. And is there any possibility, sir, that instead of going through a bank, that the ministry can support MSMEs directly, so that we need not to go via bank? Could something be done on that? I do not know. I just wish to understand from you, sir.
So this point of yours about engagement with the chambers and the industry, and this reminds me of what the Prime Minister always says, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. And I think that is really inclusive growth when he really mentions it. And it touches everybody's heart, because सब में हम भी आते हैं. सबका साथ सबका विकास में जब हम बात करते हैं इंडस्ट्री फैमिली की, सर, industry chambers and industry associations, my engagement in all these years, and let me, I wanted to set right one thing. You have been very generous in your compliments to me for all the targets reaching which we did. But let me share with you, sir, it was team and SIC which achieved this. And I was a part of the team. And no leader, no person survives without the team. I had an excellent group of people who put in their heart and soul for the MSME sector, and the results are before you, within the country as well as outside the country. So coming back to the role of the chambers, sir, they are the most important and the most significant part in any country, and especially when it comes to a sector as vibrant as MSMEs. Why I say so? Because they know the nerve, they know the nucleus of the problem, and they know the solutions which can be given. And if they can be joined, it is almost like the brain of a body being put in at the right place. The heart and the brain joining. When they join, the solution is nothing but the best. And I say this because I had several examples, several instances where I got to work with you, and I can't forget your passion to set up incubation centers to work with the northeastern part of the country. And similarly, various other industry associations with whom I engaged, whether it was Codecia, whether it was CASIA, whether it was FKCCI, whether it was IMSME of India, whether it was across the length and breadth of the country. So much so that I still remember distinctly the Plastic Industry Association people coming and saying, let us collaborate. Let us set up a plastic testing center where they give the building and NSIC brings in the machines for all that. Sir, it's a win-win situation. It is not just for the Plastic Industry Association, but for every industry association. If they collaborate together with organizations like NSIC, organizations like SIDBI, there is going to be a sea change. And if they themselves come together, so the peer pressure will ensure that there are no defaults. The strength of the association per se will ensure that no member sinks or goes bad. And they would definitely be trying to become the best in the world. Coming to your second point, where you talk about exports. So fortunately for us today, the entire world looks up to India. Why? Because of its MSMEs. I do agree that COVID has impacted, but it has not only impacted India, it has impacted the entire world. So we are all sailing in the same boat. The only thing is what the Prime Minister says, let us not forget that we have a dynamic, we have a very vibrant demography, and we have a huge demand. The world is looking towards this, and the markets are opening up for the Indian MSMEs abroad. But I go by what you said, make local vocal. While the pitch is going to be the same as our Honorable Minister for MSME says, let us promote our MSMEs from one level to another, from micro to small, from small to medium, and make them champions, take them across the world. But at the same time, we have to look inwards also and look at the inclusive growth within the sector. A small holding a micro, or a medium holding a micro, and a medium holding a small, the hand holding will ensure the bailing out of each other in these testing times. I have been a permanent optimist all my life. I have always believed that the best is still to come. I do believe that the best for the Indian MSME sector is still to come. Let this aberration of COVID not in any way impede the growth which we have set ourselves up on. It is only a jerk, it's only a speed breaker which has come. We will overcome it and then sail smoothly because we carry the trust of each other and we carry the immense confidence which our Prime Minister reposes in our sector. This is what I wanted to share with you, sir.
Wonderful, Ravindra Nath ji. You touched all the important points, all the sensitive points, all the concerned points, and particularly when you have taken finance, marketing, technology, manpower, exports, all the segments separately, what SIDBI can do, under Manrega what we can do, how we can bring Atmanirbharta, and then at the same time, 3 points very nicely you told. Initially, we started with fear of health, then we moved on to fear of income loss, and then we moved on to fear of livelihood. I noted all 3 of them. So MSME sector certainly has to come out of it. We all have to get psychological and financial strength. Banks have to be more considerate, and banks have to be more liberal. They got to understand the practical nitty-gritties and problems of the MSMEs. And for sure, coming from a heart from the tourism background, I feel that certain sectors got to take a little backseat at this point of time, and survival, the food part, agriculture part, animal husbandry part, food processing, food packaging, organic farming, and cultivation at the home itself, along with the health and wellness, and earn and learn and digital education got to take a priority. The last word, you wanted to say something, Ravindra Nath ji.
I just missed out on two things, and I would not be doing justice if I don't mention my previous organization. This organization was set up in 1955 because the country had just come out of independence, and we wanted people to be established and create employment opportunities. This organization has grown over the years, evolved itself in such a way that it's a one-stop solution for any MSME, whether within India or abroad. So if there was ever somebody which MSMEs can fall back upon, I would say it is one and only the National Small Industries Corporation of India. I would also like to add, sir, NSIC gives you marketing support, NSIC gives you financial support, NSIC gives you technology support, the trained manpower, it has a B2B portal. You name a solution which you require, the company gives you. And that is why we were there, right in Africa, right in Southeast Asia, in Russia, and God willing, we will be there in every country in the world in times to come. But आत्मनिर्भरता की जब हम बात करते हैं तो हम बिना स्टेट्स के साथ जुड़े हुए, बिना स्टेट्स के साथ मिले हुए आत्मनिर्भरता की तरफ नहीं बढ़ सकते।
तो आप चाहते हैं कि सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट और स्टेट गवर्नमेंट कुछ लीवरेजेस और दे?
मैं चाहता हूं सर कि स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स भी आगे आए।
ओके,
जो वो काम कर रहे हैं,
हाँ,
खासकर आज के दिन में जहां उनके एमएसएमईज को चाहे ऑर्डर्स देने की बात हो, चाहे इंसेंटिव्स देने की बात हो, चाहे माइग्रेंट वर्कर्स को रोजगार की नई ट्रेनिंग्स देने की बात हो, चाहे इंक्यूबेशन सेंटर्स एस्टैब्लिश करने की बात हो जहां वो ट्रेन होकर अपने छोटे छोटे उद्यम लगा सके। सर, मुझे प्रधानमंत्री जी की बात याद आती है जहां उन्होंने कहा था कि इंसान के सिर से लेके पांव तक जो भी वस्तु वो यूज करता है, सरसों बाल का तेल, बालों की कंघी से लेके जुराब, मोजा, जूता तक हर चीज एमएसएमई बना सकती है। और जब एमएसएमई बना सकती है और ये छोटे छोटे चीजों के लिए हमारे को बहुत बड़ी बड़ी टेक्नोलॉजीज की आवश्यकता नहीं है। वी डोंट नीड very big technologies, very big centers. We have several success stories in my earlier corporation where young people, in collaboration with the state governments, we had all these centers and tremendous amount of success stories. Now is the time when we need to replicate more of it.
Thank you. So you support our research that the B2B is no more business to business, it is back to basics.
Back to basics.
Thank you very much, sir. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for sparing your time. And you brought the NSIC, that particular organization, to a new heights and new standards. We are proud of you. Thanks for sparing your time. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being with us, and look forward for the another opportunity. Namaskar. And final note, Atam Nirbharta. Atam Nirbharta. Atam Nirbharta.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We look forward to another occasion. Thank you.
Sure. God willing. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir. Same goes for you and everybody whosoever has